Welcome to Within the Pages. I don't know what particular time you are watching and from where you are watching, the mediums that you are using. You could be watching us via Facebook. You could be watching us via Destiny Voices TV. You could be joining us via YouTube Live. I want you to take this priceless opportunity and throw the video across, share the video, tag someone. I want you to take the video and share it with your friends, with your relatives, because this is a teaching that will become a blessing to your brother, a blessing to your sister, a blessing to somebody that you care about. And as usual, I'm with my daughter Natasha Olo, who has taken her priceless time to read this book, and is going to be shooting some questions at me, and is going to be my co-preacher right now. How are you doing, Natasha?
I'm fine.
Yes.
I'm fine.
Talk to me about the book that we are looking at this time that God has given us. I know you've read the book. I know you've gone through the book. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about it in your own words. Introduce us, bring us on board, and then I will be flowing.
So today we'll be tackling mistakes that pollute parental blessings. It's a really interesting book, I must say. It has a lot of knowledge. And as I said before, there's a few truths, a few facts, the things that we must all accept and deal with.
There are things that we must all accept and we must all deal with.
Yes.
You've talked about truths, you've talked about lessons that according to you are contained in this book as you read. Talk to me. I'll just be listening to you. Set the course for us by what you have gained and what you'd want me to throw light on.
Okay. So, in this book, you talked about what one must do to the parents.
What one has to do to one's responsibility to their parents.
Yes.
Okay, talk to me.
In order to attract a blessing, you talked about not treating your parent as a servant.
Not treating your parent as a servant.
Yes.
There are people who do that. There are people who have not understood that you cannot treat your parents as servants.
Yes.
Now that is one of the things you captured, that you must not treat your parents as servants in the journey of trying to attract a blessing from your parents. Talk to me.
You said one should not be comfortable with letting the parents stay in the servant quarters next to the gate.
Okay.
Because by doing that, you've already given them the act of them guarding your house.
Okay.
While you are inside, your parents are guarding your house.
Okay.
So
you pick that while you're studying?
Yes.
One must not, for those who are privileged to have homes that have servant quarters, it is a common sight. It's something that you see as you visit people who have homes and when their parents come in to visit with them. Because most of these parents, even when they are born again, the African culture is very strong in them. Particularly as they grow old, they don't want to stay in your house. They don't want to. The house may be big, but you realize they don't want to stay in the house. Yes. They want to stay, have their own place where they stay other than the house. And many people have, without knowing, made a mistake by letting the parents occupy the servants' quarters just because they are not comfortable occupying the main house. We'll be going deeper into that. So that's one of the things you picked that looks innocent, and somebody might even ask the question, where then did I go wrong? That is what was available, and they refused to spend within my house. And remember, we are trying to, the main thing is we want to get a blessing from the parents.
Yes.
Okay, keep talking to me.
You also talked about building them a house.
Okay.
first instead of investing in your own projects.
Okay.
Because once you do that, you allow yourself, your projects will move on smoothly, easily. Because once you leave them stranded in their hearts, that means that you give yourself a much more higher priority than them, meaning all the projects that you will start, they will always be stuck.
The key thing is we are trying to get a blessing from the parents. And you see, there is something about parents as they begin to age and as they begin to grow old. Media has continued denying us the opportunity to enjoy the screen. But I think it's Proverbs chapter 22, verse number 23, if I'm not wrong, or Proverbs chapter 23, verse number 22. Either of them will work. When parents begin to grow old, one of the things you'll notice is that many of them try not to be demanding, and not to sound like they are making demands, like they are some kind of a responsibility, they are some kind of a burden to their children, and many of them play safe. For those of you who have parents who are watching us, you will notice this. Of course, there are a few parents who are really aggressive and are very outspoken and very demanding. There are also those ones. When they grow old, they get outspoken, they become demanding. By nature, they are just like that, and they don't hide what they really want, and they make demands, and they use words like, I brought you to this earth and I deserve to eat from you and stuff like that, offending children and interfering with the family tranquility of their children. But many parents that I know play safe. Even when they are pushed to the wall, they just play safe. They act like they really don't want to stress you. They really don't want to push you. They really don't want to get anything from you, even when they are pressed. And when you decide to build for some of them will even tell you to build your house first. That them they are fine. Them they are okay. No, you are the one to build. You build your house. I'm okay. But remember, what we are really going to be fighting over is honor your mother and your father. Actually, your responsibility to parents is summarized by just one word. That one word is enough. The other day, a dear family came to see us and to visit with us. They came to Mama's office, and I was praying for their daughter who was traveling back to Australia after the burial of their dad. Still going through pain and all that. And this girl, the dad used to call her my son because she's the firstborn. And she asked me a very powerful question. She asked me in the presence of the mom and the uncle that, what is the responsibility of a son to a father? And the Holy Spirit gave me wisdom, and I answered them and I told them, a son's responsibility, a daughter's responsibility to parents is summarized by one word: honor your mother and your father. So within the word honor is the entirety of the responsibilities we have towards our parents. So the question that you will ask is, does this honor them? Does this honor them? If you want to know if it is a mistake or not, ask the question, does it honor them? So you talk about building your own house, which is something that I also touched on before building your parents a house. I had a meeting in Chuka, and quite a number of brethren from Chuka could be watching this broadcast. I had a meeting in Chuka, and I taught on the blessing of parents. And one guy had built a very powerful house in Kiambu, a very nice home, built with good finishings. And the mom was still squatting in not a very good house because he felt that he finishes up with himself first, and then he will go back and build for the mother. When he listened to the teachings, Monday morning he called the pastor and he told the pastor, man of God, after what I had, I don't need anybody else to tell me what to do. I'm going home to hand over that beautiful house to my mother. Then I will believe God to build my own house. Nobody pushed him. Nobody pushed him. Nobody manipulated him. You see, sometimes when things are happening while I teach, people think, there must be some manipulation. When the truth hits a man, that's all. And he went to Kiambu and he handed over that home to the mom. He was admiring the home because he built it for himself. And the mother was just singing. The mother harvested out of my teaching. The son handed over the house to the mother. Now, that is one of the things you also picked that I'm going to be handling and tackling. Mistakes that pollute parental blessing. Because our assignment and our intention is that we may be blessed. Yes. Anything that we are doing for parents is that we may get a blessing. But I've also learned that instead of many people getting a blessing, many people have ended up collecting something that looked like a blessing, and it wasn't a blessing. Because remember, if it is short of honor, if it doesn't define the word honor, then the blessing will be questionable. Talk to me.
I also came through the part of when your parents are going to funerals. Obviously,
yes.
It's a thing that happens occasionally.
Yes.
So your parent uses a phone that is wrapped with rubber bands. And you can imagine it's in a funeral, it falls down and he has to pick it up. Putting everything back together again using the rubber band. And somebody there says, do you know that is the father of a lawyer?
The son is a lawyer.
Do you know that fathered an accountant?
An accountant. The daughter, the son is an accountant.
Yes.
Basically, what happens is at that point they don't see the old man. They quickly go to the child. Do you know that is a lawyer's mom? Do you know that is a medical doctor's mom? Do you know that is a pastor's mom? My mother was talking to me the other day, and she told me that at the heat of the political campaigns, and you see politicians were going into the villages and all that, and in one occasion it was decided, the people decided that she hosts them, that they wanted her to host a certain political meeting in her compound. And I asked Mama why. Mama said, because my compound is very large, and I'm so grateful that you people have really done the little you can to ensure that this place is decent enough that can be considered for a political meeting. And I could see the pride in her. She said this. She said, I could have accepted, but then I thought about the sensitive nature of your ministry. Lest I bring them here and it be misunderstood politically in a way that will be detrimental to your ministry and what you do, because I know you are never that political. Now, here's the thing. Whenever people look at your parents, particularly when they begin to age and when they begin to grow old, and when after they bring you to this earth, whenever people look at them, people don't see them, people see you. And probably this is one of the things that not many people take very seriously, that their parents paint a certain picture of them. Their parents reveal their responsibility. Their parents reveal where they have succeeded or where they have failed. And so, remember, they'll go for funerals. I used to say some other time ago that how can your mother be reported to have broken her backbone while flying on air to pick the 50 bob, the 100 bob that the politicians drop? You see how women fight for those things. Somebody came and was giving free food and was throwing it around, and then it is discovered in this generation of WhatsApp that your mom was among the people that was scrambling for food. Now, I want to be very sensitive as I share this, because I know there are people watching us who really desire to take care of their parents, but they don't have the means. They don't have the resources. There are people listening, there are people watching me, that you desire to build your parents a decent house. You desire to build your parents something good. You desire to take care of them, but you do not have the means, and you don't like the way they are living. Before the end of the show, I'm going to pray with them. It takes the grace of God for certain things to happen. And I know I have that grace. As I've taught, I've seen people from nothing, no money at all, just a plan. I've blessed plans without money. People didn't have money while they brought the plans for me to bless the plans. And I blessed the plans and I spoke over them, and people began to build for parents. As I'm talking right now, I'm aware of 3 cases right now that are going on. One of my spiritual daughters that is in the UK that began absolutely with almost nothing, that is almost accomplishing a very beautiful house for the parents, and it was all a step of faith. She jumped in, believed God, and we spoke words, and that was it. I know one also in church that keeps sending me pictures. Actually, Steve Kibe. Steve Kibe keeps sending me pictures of what God has done with a very, not that much salary. He looks at it and he attributes it to the act of God, a miracle. He says, Pastor, I don't understand how I've been able to raise this far. There's another one as well. She just ended her contract the other day where she used to work, that has managed to raise the parents. She can't understand where money has come from, but the blessing of God has supplied the money. So I want to encourage those of you that are watching and you feel you desire to give your parents decency, something good, change stuff about them, but you don't have the money. I'm going to pray for you, and the same grace that has worked for these people is going to work for you as well. What Tasha is saying is, things as ordinary, let me not call them ordinary, things as sensitive as cell phones. Your parent has bundled their phone with a rubber band. It looks like the remote control of a suicide bomber. Your mother has a very funny phone. She picks it up in the where people are, and people wonder, wow, and then people immediately say, that is so-and-so's mother, that's so-and-so's mom. It fell down the battery, went the other way, it got scattered, or just this little radio. Your parent has a radio that has been tied with a rubber band, and it has one artificial wire that is, an antenna there. That's what your mother is using. And then here you are in the city with your music, can't give neighbors rest in the city, in a rented house, on a rented property. The significance of these things. Now that is one of the things also that you are touching on. Please take us further, because in a few, we are going to go into the table of contents so that we look at what is in this book, and then we are going to settle to teach scripturally these things I'm talking about. The mistakes that people make. Tonight we are looking at, wherever your own could be daytime, and somebody else's could be afternoon, but we are looking at the mistakes that people make.
Yes.
We think we are doing the right thing, but it is a mistake, and these mistakes cost us parental blessing. Talk to me.
There's a guy that actually teaches these things in sort of like a comic way, but if you look at it on the other side, you see the message that he's trying to pass across. The last act he did, or the last skit he did, we had him winning $100 million. And he came back home and he was like, oh, I'm Mr. President. And
he's a comedian, right?
Yeah, he's a comedian. And he touched on the part where, because you have a title, you think your parents should call you by that title. So
I touched that as well in the book.
Yeah, you touched that
those who get offended when parents don't call them by their titles. Okay, continue.
So he came home and he was like, I'm Mr. President, I have this money, so dad, mom, call me this from today. And the mother was like, we said before, a mother does not have to say anything, just
The mother was shocked.
Yeah, the mother was
that is
shocked.
Demanding that kind of honor.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he was like, okay, so Mr. President. So during the night, the father had lost all that he had.
Okay.
The father was sort of broke, and he literally felt bad for himself, and he was like, my son is disrespecting me at this stage because I do not have money. So what if I had money? Would he do this to me? He's expecting me to call him Mr. President, just
teaching the parents now how to address him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the father was sort of offended, and we later saw that the man lost everything that he had.
In that comic skit?
In that comic skit.
Okay.
The son lost everything he had in just one night. That same night that he came with everything baggy to the parents. And he really brought sort of a memory. It took me down the memory lane. At times how we treat our parents, thinking we have it all, and I'm too big for this, I'm too big for that. And we forget our parents, pushing them aside, making them beg for things of which that's not supposed to be. That's not how life's supposed to be.
It's like we corner them so that they can really beg and stoop low before we can offer our help.
Yes.
What is your take on that?
My take on that?
Yeah.
I literally saw the offense. I felt how the parents feel at times, as youths, as teenagers, we are all happy when you get the little cash because we feel a little bit satisfied. And at times we forget our parents. In the joy of wanting to go with the world, wanting to have everything in our hands, we forget our parents in that rush. So our parents are behind, looking at us, wondering when will we turn behind to pick them up.
I've got to have this phone first. I've got to have this kind of a car first. I've got to meet up the standards of my times. This is what is trending right now.
Yes.
I'll give you a very good example. Some years ago, precisely 20 years ago, I saw many ministers, my age group. There was this euphoria of buying a good car, and because I had so much responsibility, I was not in a position to fight over that. But it was the thing. Actually, they were taking loans and buying new cars and all that. So when I showed up with a new car, with an old car, one of them told me, "No, it's very easy. You're going to just take a loan and get the car." But I felt it wasn't a priority to me back then. And I knew some of these guys, their parents were not living a life befitting their parents. And amazingly, there's one of them that I spoke to very particularly. I told him, "I even know your parents, man. You can't be pushing for this right now. Would you please mind changing, change things? The best of the cars are not yet manufactured."
Yeah.
And he didn't listen to me, and I don't know what happened. To even afford that kind of a car now is a struggle in his life, because he felt sometimes people feel, "I've got to get this, I've got to pay an apartment this much, I've got to pay this house rent, I'm going to leave." It's a euphoria. Is a euphoria that people find themselves in. But if you can be able to do the first things first, then you will be protecting your life.
Yes.
And so that is also something I address, the things you need to avoid, particularly where parents are involved. Your father has come where you work. You are the boss there, or you are senior there. And your dad did not even tell you he's coming, and he has come. And you are busy, you are in the middle of a meeting or something like that. And now your dad has to probably sit with other people in the appointment bench and wait, because probably you are attending to people. I've seen people do that. That you see, this is business and this is office. And we've got to run office ethically. So it doesn't matter whether it's my father, people make such statements or not. I let him wait because this is an office setting. And so you find a respectable man, you find his dad or his mom will wait for hours before the mom or the dad comes in to see him, and wait with people. And even the workers, the workers will be gossiping.
Yeah.
Hey, but I think it's the mother. It happens even in ministry. As a pastor, you don't want to keep father figures waiting. You can't keep a father figure at the reception. Even just as a man of God, when men of God come to see you, when people come to you, you discover very quickly that this one is a minister of God. You've got to find a way of getting him out of there so that he can have a different place to wait, if that is available. Or if you can quickly finish up with people like that so that they go as you attend to other ordinary members. The kind of mistakes that people make, your dad waiting. One time, I knew a guy who married a Chinese. The wife was a Chinese. And they were living in like a camp somewhere. And I had visited that camp to pray. And so I was going to this pastor. He's actually a pastor. He's married a Chinese lady. And the mother had come from the village to see them. And so as I was going to his house, I was told by one of his workers that in the morning they normally have a meeting to set up the day, to decide on how the day goes, the deliberations, and they bond with their kids, the morning hours, they bond with their kids, they deliberate matters on how the day is going to go. So, and it was very chilly. So I found the mother seated outside, not seated in a posh place. The mother was seated like on a stone, that's a camp, like on a stone, something like that. And the mother had been there for long because she had left where she had gone to sleep. Now she was coming for breakfast, and she had to stay there for more than an hour because they are having this meeting which is crucial. They are deliberating on the family, and mama has to wait first. These are things we may think we have paid bus fare for mama from the village. We have given her some food. When she's going back, we're going to buy her some clothes. But these are mistakes that instead of you carrying a blessing, while that woman was seated there on that stone,
Yes.
you may not know what that woman was saying in her heart. And just like you told us the other day, that parents don't have to say anything to bless you. They don't have to say anything to curse you. That state of wondering, why would my son, she may never talk about it, why would my son just keep me over here all this while? And what were they doing? And she keeps on thinking about that. Is not safe enough for you. We may not pick that. We may not know that that is wrong, but that is not right. And these are things that can affect us without us knowing. Please keep talking to me. I know there are some few things I'm going to pick on, even as we continue to look at parental mistakes that pollute parental blessing.
Yes.
What else did you pick?
You also talked about handing out things to your parents, like handing down things to your parents, like clothes, things that you no longer use.
Okay.
Like watches.
Okay.
Whatever you feel does not befit you as a person in your own league, in your own position that you've placed yourself, you hand it down to them.
You give it to them.
Yes.
Okay.
You say, for you, that might look okay, but for them in their mind, they'd be like, really, this is the only thing that my son found befitting for me. This is the only thing
that should be chapter 5.
Yes.
Page number 20. What you're talking about, handing over used clothes. What do you have to say about this? These are common things people do. The mother sees her with something and she gives it to the mother. Not that she cannot afford a new one. She can afford a good one, a new one, but she says, well, I'll make another one. You take this one. Handing over things that you've already used.
Yes.
You use seats. These are mistakes some of us have made. And then when the seats are old and tired, what many people do,
you take them to the village.
Some days ago, one of us in the ministry wasn't living very well. I looked at the kind of seats they were sitting on, and it wasn't really giving God the glory. And so I spoke to a carpenter to become a blessing to them with seats. And this carpenter became a blessing to them with seats. And somebody went there and found those seats, the seats they were sitting on before, bundled in the corner somewhere outside the house. And asked them, oh, are you moving? They said, no, just come in. So the person came in and found really beautiful seats. And they said, but the ones out, he said, no, we are planning to take those ones to the village to our parents. They are planning to take those ones. Looks very innocent, what we are sharing tonight. Looks very innocent, but very dangerous. Very, very dangerous school of thought. Handing down things you've already used.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
You said it might look okay to you, but to them it's really never okay. You might feel, it said, chapter 24, it said, give them the first class.
Okay, this is lesson 5, right?
Yeah, this is lesson 5.
Page 20. That's what is dealing with the clothes?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it reached a point where you said you should always treat your parents as first class. Give them the best of life.
Not forgetting that your responsibility to parents is summarized by one word, honor. The question is, if your own kids, the question is, how do you feel when someone in a particular class of life gives you what they have used, which is not, they can afford more, much better than that, but then they choose to give you what they have used? How do you feel? You will feel, well, they have, in a way, blessed me, but they could have done better. So the thing is this, how would you feel if you are in their shoe? How would you feel if someone gave you or someone did to you what you have done to the parents? Better still, I want parents today, I want us today who are being parented or who have parents, I want us to imagine how we would feel today if our children that we are raising now got a shoe off their feet that we are using and gave it to us. How would you feel today if the child you are raising right now took something they have already used and given it to you, and they have the ability to buy new ones? Please talk to us.
A while back. Actually, we were just doing one or two things.
Yes.
And then I sort of like got offended. That was me. By this person picked some shoes that were a little bit ragged.
Okay.
They looked old. They looked spoiled.
Okay.
And I was like, instead of picking those, why don't you allow us buy you others?
Okay.
And another person approached me and was like, you wouldn't have said that because what you said, you made the person feel bad about themselves.
Okay.
But me, I didn't see it right for you to take the ragged shoes when we can give you something better.
Yes.
And so, what's your take on that?
We as Christians and as believers, the thing is we love being, the thing is most Christians are hypocrites. We hypocritically give life a certain approach. We find it easy to give things that we don't need. And yet if somebody gave us what they don't need, it will offend us.
Yes.
We will not feel honored. The thing is, Ephesians 6, verse 1, 2, and 3, our responsibility, the responsibility of a son to a mother, to a son to a father, is nothing but honor. It is nothing but honor. Honor is what defines our responsibility. Our role is honor. So now, this is another school of thought. If you are not able to afford at that time, God understands. You know, God knows us the way we are. And God knows that is the best that you had at that time. Meaning if you had money, you'd buy them something better than that. At that point, you have honored your mother. You have honored your father. You've honored your parents. Because you didn't have money, but you gave them the best that money can buy that you had at that time. But for someone who can afford something better for parents, should not give out what they've already used. You know, as looks like you're dumping it on them.
Yeah.
Some people don't only give what they've already used. They go into the wardrobe and even the parents are used to it. The mother say, all those clothes you never use, I'll collect them as I'm going back to the village. And you gladly empty your wardrobe. You say, at least now I want to change my wardrobe. So you push down the ones that you're no longer using, and your mother collects them. Then gets into a bus and off to the village. Some of those clothes look very funny on your mother because they were not designed for her. And she goes around wearing them. And you see, if she's among people who really don't know, they feel she's smart. But in God's eyes, it is not right. I say a few things in chapter number 5, in lesson 5, from the beginning, that is page 20. Could you read for us as we journey forth?
There's no way you can clothe one who first clothed you in life with clothes you no longer put on.
Now, always remember that when you want to clothe your parents, this is somebody who first clothed you. The person who put on you the very first cloth you ever wore on this earth. Literally, your parents introduced you to clothes. You came to this earth naked. They introduced you to clothes. And there's no way, such a man, such a woman, there's no way you're going to clothe them in things that you no longer need if you can afford brand new things. Look at them from that dimension. The value you put on parents should be viewed. You should take that value. There are a few things you should put in place that you should ask yourself, can I pay for? The labor pains, being raised, being born, stuff like that. Priceless things we cannot pay for. We can only, we honor people because there's nothing on this earth that you can equate to their value. These are the people that first put clothes on you. You knew nothing, they put clothes on you, they covered you. Your dad worked so hard, your mom saved the money, put clothes on you. Those little sweaters that we used to wear as babies, put clothes on you, put nappies on you, covered you, took care of you, ensured you were warm. What can you buy such kind of a person? What would you call expensive? Okay, so continue reading for us.
Some things need to penetrate the consciousness of today's generation well. Be informed, when you landed naked on this earth, your parents are the very first people who introduced you to clothes.
Wow.
When dressing them up now becomes a burden to you, be informed something has gone wrong somewhere.
Something has gone. It must never look like a burden. Your mom has asked for a particular dress. It must not look like a burden. If you can afford, the key thing is you can afford it. Now, if you cannot afford and what you have that you can give right now is the best you have, God takes it at that level. Because also we have to be careful. There are parents who are very demanding, very demanding. They can stretch you beyond your limits, and you can end up getting angry and getting offended. I'm dealing with a case like that somebody just wrote me. I will cover the name. Somebody had written me on Facebook today. I think this should have been on social media, and the individual looked very frustrated. And here was the person writing. I will cover the name. He said, "I've gone through the video hosted by Natasha, and something caught my attention. This is about the parental curse or blessing that parents can release without saying any word. This is because anytime I send some cash to my mother, she'll always complain to a point of mentioning my two other sisters, whom they usually send her more money than I do. This thing has been happening for a long time until this month. After complaining the same out of anger, I just asked her, hivi nitawahi barikiwa kweli kama nikikutumia pesa kila wakati? Is like you don't even appreciate. I work." Okay, the lady begins to describe where she works. I'll try to cover that so that it is not very direct. And she talks to me about her salary. The salary is, I don't know whether to mention, but I think I should also not mention the salary. But it's not up to 30,000 per month, whereby 3,000 is sent to her in advance during mid-month. And the remaining balance, which is also very little, is what I receive at the end of the month. You can imagine this. This is Nairobi. I pay rent. I personally have personal needs of which sometimes I don't meet them. There are church needs. There are parents. I have to pay my tithe, my transportation from home to work and back. Sometimes I feel so bad when I'm not understood. Kindly advise me as you pray for me also. Just pray for my finances. I think I need God to bless me so that I can be of a blessing to my mother instead of... Now, that's another school of thought which is coming from her. I think I just need God to bless me and get me out of this mess where I get very little, and every time I send it to my mother, she begins to compare me to my two other sisters that earn very well. Now, this is a mistake on the side of the parents.
Yes.
Our children don't have the same capacity. And as parents, we must learn how to encourage children, even as spiritual parents. The people we pastor don't have the same financial capacity. You don't talk about what this one has done in front of the other one. Of course, parents are not God. They represent God, but they are not God. They have their mistakes. They have their weaknesses. They behave sometimes just like some of them are terrible. But now here she needs wisdom. She needs to really hold herself from not being offended, because that offense will open a door that is not very good in her life. Yes. She needs to be bigger than those complaints. She needs to outgrow those complaints, and she needs not to stop. She needs to keep giving what she can give, but she needs to be very strong and guard her heart against those complaints and just do what is right. Then another thing about this is that, as she has said it well, I just want to believe God to get out of this. Because when you start looking at things like tithe being a responsibility, you really need to believe God so that God can raise your standard. But for now, what I would advise you, do what you can with what you have, where you are. Just do the right thing. Don't let the bitterness of your mom lead to you dishonoring her. Don't exchange words with her. Don't let her provocation get at you. Don't let her pull you into a ring so that the two of you begin to fight. You know, the enemy can use parents. These parents you see, you know, they can easily lure you into something that will destroy your life. And so be the bigger person. Be the bigger person. Understand her. Don't even debate this and stage quarrels and arguments with her that, you know, I've been keeping this, I'm hurting. How can you be complaining? The moment you step into that, the enemy has found you. Because in the course of exchanging words, your mother may say what you'll never recover from.
True.
And you may also even get physical. Because when you are pushed and you're a human being, you are bound to do things that are not right. Parents, I would also want to say that your children are not the same. Try to understand them. Dear pastors, dear men of God, we call you spiritual fathers and spiritual papas. All the churches you are visiting are not the same. They are not in the same capacity. They are not able to supply the same. So don't compare this with that. As a parent, nurture their abilities. And then as children, do what you can where you are with what you have. Okay, continue talking to me.
Well, I understand there comes a time in this life you desire to buy your parents brand new clothes, but you can't afford it.
That is also captured here.
I was once there. It's a stage in life. When you find yourself there, don't fold your arms doing nothing. Offer them what you consider your best at that time.
Good.
The God of heaven will soon turn things around for you. Since I wasn't able to buy my father a brand new designer suit, I gave him the very first one I ever bought.
We shared that the other day when we were talking about Parental Chronicles. Okay.
But if you can afford designer clothes for your parents, please don't dump what you no longer use on them.
Don't dump what you no longer use on parents.
I know most parents will appreciate anything that comes their way.
Have you already looked at that? Continue.
But never allow that notion deceive you. God is not mocked. He knows your financial level per time. Parents are not wired for crumbs and remains.
Continue.
Dressing up your parents is an equivalent of decorating your future.
When you dress parents, you are basically decorating your future. I remember when Shem and Japheth covered their father.
Yes.
The old man came out of that and spoke into their future. So something as little as covering the father, putting clothes on the father, when the father was naked, was decorating their future. I pray if God can help us, look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is not about your parents, it's about you.
Yeah.
Did you know that parents don't have a promise in scripture for raising their kids?
Yeah,
they don't have a promise. Honor your father and your mother that it may be well with you and that you may live long. There's nothing promised to them. And then the scripture says, parents, do not cause your children or stretch them into anger and wrath, but there's no promise for them. This is what I tell people: your parents have lived their life. You are yet to live your life. Don't let a man who has lived his life mess up the life you're about to live. So anything you do to them is a way of decorating where you are going. Please talk to us.
Yeah. It's like building your nest where no snake can sneak in.
It's like you're building a very safe nest where no snake can sneak in.
When you do so, using what you no longer need, you weaken your future.
You weaken your future.
You compromise the strength of your tomorrow's covering. Your mother and father are no beggars. They are alive to add color to your life. Keep far from giving them what you can do without. Handle them like the important people they are in your life.
Dress your parents like you will never do so again. Let their peers wonder about them. Let your parents' dressing become a reference point among their peers. The attention they cause because of the clothes you bought them is the reason you will never be ignored in life. It turns back to you, it comes back to you in the form of attention. But if your parents' dressing is pitiful, it digs you up premature pits in life. Don't let your parents borrow clothes when faced with occasions to attend. Don't let your parents suffer insults because of the way they treated somebody's borrowed clothes. These are things that can, perpetually keep you in financial detention. And these are things that are happening with people. You find people who are so decently dressed in the city here, very stylish, very trendy, until somebody shows you their parents. One time I think I posted on social media and I said, before you go taking those selfies in the village, before you take those your grandparents' pictures and, taking selfies with them and posting it on social media, nothing is wrong with it, but kindly check those backgrounds. Because sometimes you see what somebody has driven to the village, the kind of a car he drove to the village, and then the pictures they take there, and you are seeing the background, you can see the seats the parents are sitting on, you can see the life in the background is saying a lot of things. You see an old man that looks like he's basically neglected in terms of being, you see neglect all over, a neglected house, neglected clothes, a home that is looking abandoned, and somebody has driven their brand new car in there, and they are giving signs of peace, even telling these old people to post for pictures, and we are putting them on social media. Before you put your parents on social media, look at those backgrounds. Look at what they are wearing. Look at where they are living. Look at the kind of life they are living. And it doesn't cost much. It doesn't take much. It is a matter of priority. It's a way of honoring them. And so don't let your parents borrow clothes because your parents, they don't have clothes. Your mother goes around borrowing clothes from people because she has to attend an occasion. When you supply those are mistakes we make. You say, you know, but I have to go to work, Pastor. I need my suits to go to work. It is from that work that they eat. Give it a sense of priority and dress your parents. When God blesses you, show your parents the best boutiques in town. Life is for the living. Let them feel like butterflies. Let them smile like newlyweds. Let them float like peacocks. Don't impress us with your expensive dressing if you know very well your parents dress like beggars. There are people who, you know, we live in a time now that everything is being done for social media.
Yeah.
I even saw one lady that was going around. She didn't have a boyfriend, but she would just go around. She'll go somewhere to take lunch and then, you know, tell a waiter there, let's pose, behave like you're proposing to me and things like that. And then she's putting them on social media.
Yeah.
One time we were in a holiday destination with Mama, and we saw one social media addict that is really causing waves on social media. And we saw her calling somebody there that they didn't come with. And then the person, she gave the person some well-wrapped up gift. So the person was now presenting it to her. It was actually, you know, we were so shocked where we were seated with Mama. I said, so you mean, and they were acting it out very well. And I think she was on Instagram or something and blushing and, you know, say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I felt like going there and telling that guy, what is this? You need a slap that will bring you back to your senses. Those are the things happening right now.
Yeah, at one point, somebody said the social media is sort of like a marketplace.
Yes.
Whereby people just go borrow things and come and show it off to you.
Yes.
You on the other side, you feel pressured, you feel depressed, you feel
You think people are doing well.
Yeah.
One time I said that not everybody at the airport is traveling. So all these things, people have taken pictures at the airport, is stressing you to death. You're killing yourself for no good reason. Not everyone at the airport is traveling.
True.
Yes.
I have a friend of mine who just, she keeps posting things here and there. There was a time she posted a car and everybody was like, oh, congratulations. And I was like, the last time I saw you, you didn't have a car. So where is this car from?
Yes.
But, oh, my father just give it to me. And I'm like, oh, your father gave you a car.
Okay.
But you're here telling people you bought a car.
Okay.
So people in their minds are like, oh, I need to work hard. I need to keep pushing. But the real sense of it is like whatever is giving you pressure,
Yes.
it's all lies.
It's a lot of lies. It happens even in ministry. You've got to really be contented. You know, some years ago, I almost felt I was not anointed enough because I saw God using people, you know, in quotes, God using people. I don't want to really go into details until we had a meeting in church and we had a guest preacher that came. This notion, God uses people. And from that meeting, I received back my soberness. Because what we witnessed firsthand, I told Mama, if this is what we call trending in ministry, then I don't need it. Sometimes the things you are really dying to have and you think people are doing well. The other day I even made a very uncomfortable statement. I said, I've gotten to a place where I'm very careful with anybody who is showing people how to live. You know, anybody, these people who always seem to know everything, you know, they can show you how to live, how to, too much of you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you can't eat, this one is eaten like this is, I look at people, I said, okay, well, our grandparents didn't adhere to those things, they lived long. Because there was a sense of truth and genuineness in the generation of our grandparents. Nothing kills people faster like lying. A lying, because once you speak one lie, you need another lie to support that lie. And you'll never know when you get into the ditch of life. Lying about where you live, lying about what you have, lying about what you drive, lying about who you really are. You think people are stupid? We have bankers out here. People are in these banking institutions. We live in a time that at the click of a button, we can know if you own a car or you don't own it. And so sometimes people are just laughing at you as you make a fool of yourself. And then even the genuine ones that could have become a blessing to you, stay away because you're chasing shadows.
Yeah.
And so when God blesses you, show your parents the best boutiques in town. let them feel like butterflies, just as I've said. When your mother dresses up like a slave in an important occasion, you basically attract slavery your way. It may be your identity for life. When your father dresses like a local brew champion because of poverty, you know, the way some of our parents dress, what do you think will become of you one day when you grow old? Please never give your parents what you no longer need. They were the first ones to dress you up. Give them first-class dressing when God blesses you. And I emphasize when God blesses you. I didn't say go borrowing. I didn't say put yourself under pressure. I didn't say steal. God knows what you can do per time. But what we are emphasizing is this: know your ability. If you can afford some things, give your parents the best. Because there are mistakes we make. There are mistakes we make. One is in the area of dressing. Giving your parents what you have worn, you know, shopping for them cheap stuff, and you know when you need something, you go for designer, you go for originals, to a point of even seeing people making clothes for their parents over a particular wedding. They go buy the expensive stuff. Then wazazi wanachukua some cheap vitenge somewhere to attend that occasion. I know a brother that the father attended his wedding, and the father's trouser was literally torn, while the man was in a tuxedo costing almost 100,000. You know, did everything, borrowed cars and all that. That wedding was joined by a friend of us who could even be watching. As that, the man later told me, "Man of God, what was that? What was that I saw? What the mzee was wearing was terrible. The mzee looked needy, miserable, while the son was in expensive tuxedos and all that on the wedding day." I wish you'd even make your parents outshine you during your wedding day. In an occasion, get them good material if you can afford. Because the language, what defines your relationship with your parents is what we call honor.
Yeah.
And if we define honor, honor means to crown with expensive stuff. That's what we call honor. Honor talks of decoration. When you break down the word honor also gives us the word decoration. Decoration means adding color. Add color to your parents, and you'll add years to your life. That is what people don't know. So in our generation, anything goes, anything can be given to a father, anything can be given to a mother, and anything goes, and it is not right. These are mistakes that instead of a blessing coming back to you, you start making statements like, "I've helped my parents, I've tried, kama nikusaidia wazazi, nasaidia, but pastor, I just don't know what is wrong." The question is, how do you normally help them? Please give us one more. We take a short break. We come back and begin to close. I know you could be asking, how do I get this book? Details are on the screen. This is one of those books that you can get just with a love gift of 500. You walk into any of our bookshops, the CBD, Ongata Rongai, or you want it delivered to you, you can make inquiries. The numbers are on the screen. I want you to read this book, Mistakes That Pollute Parental Blessing. You think in your mind that you're really helping parents, you're really doing great. Why is it that I'm not being blessed? If God himself rejects some givings, there are things we give parents that God himself has rejected. Mistakes that pollute parental blessing. Give us one more, Tasha.
There's a part of the book where you said you bought your dad the powered lamps.
Oh, the powered lamp. Which chapter is that? My goodness.
You said you gave him that, and that was only used on special occasions.
Is the powered lamp. I remember very well.
Yeah.
That is when the powered lamps had they were just beginning to come. They were using the solar powered lamps. They had just come, and you see, we really didn't have good lighting back then. But I think it is a desire. I always had that desire to make a difference, you know. And so when I saw those lamps, I bought them. And my father guarded that lamp because it was solar powered. And so when it has been powered by use of the solar, he would put it strategically somewhere in the house so it looked like electricity is in the house. And man, it made him look very proud.
Yeah.
I don't seem to lay my hand on it, but it has to be somewhere in there, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
And there's also a time we went to the village.
Okay.
And I remember grandma was like, the house was not yet fully furnished and everything.
Yes.
She was like, my son, I'm really proud of you.
Oh.
You've made people in this village see me as a big woman, son.
And there's not much that I had already done back those days. the blessing that is with parents is an amazing kind of blessing. I think I took videos while my mother was talking. How many of you want to watch the videos my mother talking? Anyway, that is, I can't share that. Those are private videos of my mom. I have a way of setting up cameras to record while my mother is talking, because one day we will need those videos when she's gone.
Yeah, and that part really captured me, because you said your village must not be developed for you to do something.
Yes.
Just start with the little that you have.
Your village must never be developed for you to do something.
Yes.
Just begin
with
somewhere.
The little that you have.
With the little that you have.
Yeah, because I remember she said that, you see, the first building that you made, look at how other people's sons are building.
Oh.
Because you, my son, did this. You've sort of transformed the village.
It's like I've always been a pace setter. That everything I do looks attractive to do.
Yeah.
I believe it's some kind of grace that God has been able to give to me, and I'm so grateful to God for that. When we did that and changed a few things, the whole village, everybody wanted to do something for the parents, because we are living epistles. We are influencing people's lives for good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us this far. We are going to take a short break, and then we're going to be coming back to you one more time. When I come back, I would want to find out where you're watching from and where you are, and also if you have shared the video or not. This is one of those videos you want to share with your friends, you want to share with your family members, and it will be a blessing and it will help someone. You have those sensitive questions that you would want to ask. There's a number running on your screen, but I would prefer you use 0726 315 906. Just as I read my sister's message here, maybe you have a message you feel, a question you want to ask and you don't know how to ask. Get to that number at the top of your screen, 0726, and write the questions. In our next episode, we'll look at the questions and probably give answers where necessary. We're also looking forward to having a questions and answers session where you can be able to ask questions and we can be able to answer you. When we come back after this, we will be looking at who is together with us, who is watching, where you're watching from. If you're on Destiny Voices TV, there's a number at the top of your screen that you can use to let us know where you're watching from. You're watching via YouTube live as well. Probably you can comment there. I'm watching from such and such a place, and I'll be calling out while I check. We take a short break. We will be coming back to you. It is me, Maurice Olo, and my host,
Natasha Olo.
And this is, which show is this?
The Pages.
Within the Pages. We're seeing you after this.
Welcome. This is Within the Pages. I'm your host, Natasha Olo, and together with me I have my dad, Apostle Maurice Olo.
Thank you so much. I've seen a number of us. Maybe let me just read our comments a little bit, and then we will be winding up for tonight. I can see Millie Ochoki saying, I can't stop learning. Thank you, Apostle and Lady Natasha. Millicent Karugi, add color to your parents and more years to your life. Let them feel like, Millie, not flies, let them feel like butterflies. And of course, Lidwin had gone there to let her know that it is butterflies. Evangelist Moses says, I'm blessed. Aban Mutua, good teaching, very important, thank you. Lidwin saying, honor, decoration, and adding color. She's a mathematician, so she's trying to get an equation out of it, trying to format an equation from the teaching that we've done. Francis Kier is saying, God help me. God help me. God, we believe God will help you. Gloria K saying, thank you. Lidwin is saying again, let them float like peacocks. Dennis Kirimi, I've seen you. Karao Simon, when you dress parents, you decorate your future. Good punchline there. Ida, when you dress parents, you decorate your future. Ronald Kuria, is, I don't know the kind of help you need, Ronald, you could consider using one of the numbers we have there for you. Christopher Music, this is great. Faith, may God help me. V saying this, a very powerful book indeed. Mwikali, I can see you right over there. Millicent Owino, lovely. We can see Ogutu Mary as well. And Hadassah, listening from Kampala. This Hadassah Etale, this same topic brought me to Christ through Truth FM. I'm humbled to listen to it over again. She gave her life to Jesus while I was teaching this. I remember over our last crossover service, she came all the way from Uganda with another pastor.
Yeah.
She's Hadassah Etale. She's listening in Uganda, following up in Uganda. And she gave her life to Christ around the time I was teaching this on radio. And that's how she came to the kingdom of God. Leaky remote control suicide bomb. Suicide bombers, remote control. That is that phone that is wrapped up like it is a charm. Okay. Sylvia Ben is listening from Kitui. Victor Otieno Okelo learning. And I'm in the process of building my dad a house. May God direct more resources into my hand. Then we have Mama Pamela saying amen. We have quite a number of people writing over here. Polycarp is tuned in from Saika. Somebody's in Kasarani. Akinyi is tuned in. Wangari. Mudhamaki tuned in. Kuria is listening. Pastor Simon is following via DVTV. This is called Susa Kevin. He said, "You preached Jesus to me 5 years ago. Until to date, I can tell you how good it is and how good things have become." Paulette is tuned in. John Prince, things that we must all accept and find a way to deal with. I'm following. That's a statement that you made. Levi Matthews is following from Kakamega. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to wrap it up all so that we can call it a great moment in the presence of God. Mistakes that Pollute Parental Blessing is the book that we have looked at. A very simple book. You can read this book in a day.
Yes.
And then every day you can go through it from the beginning to the end, and it will bless your life. The numbers are running down your screen that you can use to make orders for this book. Visit our bookshops, and this book will become a blessing to your life. Give us your closing remarks as we get off and let the people call it a program. Your punchlines, what you can tell us.
I had a few notes written down.
You had jotted down some few notes with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And it says, don't blame what you haven't become on your parents.
Don't blame what you have not become on your parents.
Yes.
That takes us way back to chapter number 1, where I said, after you are born, your parents ought to benefit and ought to be happy and ought to feel great that you are born. And a number of scriptures that I think I also quoted while I said that we can still hold on to. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 21. He who begets a scoffer does so to his own sorrow, and the father of a fool has no joy. So your wisdom is what brings joy to your parents, to be wise enough to know how to handle them.
Yes.
So don't blame anything you never became. Don't blame it on your parents. Don't blame it on them. Don't let them feel like they made a mistake not having given you what they didn't give you. Please talk to us.
You were born to wipe your parents' tears away. Protect their legacy.
You are born to wipe your parents' tears away. So you have a responsibility to protect their legacy. Psalm 127, verse 4 to 5 says, like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak with their enemies in the gate. I love this same Bible translation when done in Message. The Message says, like a warrior's fistful arrows are the children of a vigorous youth. Oh, how blessed are you parents, with your quivers full of children. Your enemies don't stand a chance against you. You will sweep them right off your doorstep. So children ought not to bring enemies to the parents. You are being born into this earth. It's not supposed to be tears added to your father and mother. It is supposed to be a blessing to your parents. They are not supposed to start feeling bad that they never gave you this, they never gave you that. Now that you have come, you came with an assignment to wipe away their tears.
Yes.
Please finish it for us.
We also have ignorance is the mother of errors.
Ignorance is the mother of errors. We commit errors. We do things we should have not done. We say what we should have not said. Why? Because we are ignorant of the truth. We do not know the truth. And this is the truth that we are trying to bring across to you. And when you know the truth, Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth that you know shall make you free. And so when we are ignorant, we're just moving about, we don't know, we are just there, we don't know what is happening, then errors are bound to take place. Errors come because people are ignorant. Till we come your way again, the book is available for you. The numbers are running down your screen. You can make an order of this book, read it, assimilate it, internalize it, give it to somebody else as a gift. The best gift you can ever give someone are things like this. Give away a book as a gift, and God will in turn bless you. Please, Tasha, your last words as we call it a program.
We should be careful with whatever it is that we do to our parents, no matter how big or small it is, and you must not have it all. Just the little things, they really do appreciate it. Inaweza kuwa ni credit ya 50 bob, they will appreciate it. Sukari, they will appreciate it. Don't hurt your pockets. Just whatever you have, do it. And also don't get offended, because as Dad said before, a lot of parents tend to compare their children. In that stage, you might get offended. Just accept yourself the way you are, at the stage that you are. God will surely bless you. And when the blessing comes, don't forget to pass it over to them.
Beautiful. Yes. From us to you, this is Within the Pages, and I summarize everything by saying, endeavor to do big things, even in a small way. The flip side is true. Small things can be done in a big way. Till next time.